Okay, so strengths and weaknesses of the lesson.
You're asking what I
What
think your
did you
strengths
think?
were?
Yeah.
Well, I like how you were actually able to stay on a time target, because that's something that I'm working on very diligently. I like that you did that. I like that you introduced the vocabulary. You pointed it out as you were going, and made further connections throughout the story, so they had a variety, of, I guess, areas to draw from with it, so that they can make those noticings. They have more examples. Another thing that I thought that you did really great was you asked them to think in their head instead of pulling out conversation with them, because that's something that I would probably say, well, if one of them raised their hand and everything, when I said think in your head, I might be weak enough, I'm one of those that's weak enough to say, okay, what are you thinking? And so I like that you said think in your head, and you turn the page, and then you're reading along and everything. And so I thought that those are really good. Weaknesses. Now that one's a toughie, because I think that you did a great job, and I'm kind of new in this. I guess any feedback?
I would say a weakness I thought was the questioning, especially the questioning at the end. I thought the questioning at the end could have been a little more thoughtful.
Yeah.
I had some great questions planned, but then forgot them when I was up there. I should have written them down.
Yeah.
But I think it could have been a little more, had them think a little more, though I did like having them do having the two sides to the story. Like, who do you think, or how do you think they're going to react? Mm-hmm. Because there's no right or wrong answer. It's pulling from the text and what you think and what you know. Right. So, but yeah, the questioning could have used some time. So the things that we were looking at in particular was time and picking. So some strategies that I used for time was picking a few spots.
Right.
And I could have picked a lot of different things. And even when I was looking through for vocabulary, they had a lot of different words for slowly doing something. Yeah. Like the teacher drawed and they ambled. And so I started writing down those words, and there was just so many different ways that you could go with it. Right. And it was about having to pick what the focus of the lesson was, and then choosing from there instead of hitting it all. So that, because like we both said, there's so much in that book that you could keep talking about. So picking a few spots, and then and like we said, just keep going.
Right.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Modeling in places where, like after you pick on one or two students, they aren't quite there, modeling that thinking for them. There was one point when Gavin said something that was not on target, and somebody else did too. And so then I said, well, I think it's because maybe some of the others knew, and I just picked two that didn't, but just recognizing that we can't go on all day with that. I'm just going to model my thinking to give them an idea of how that went. So that was those were kind of the strategies that I used for keeping it on time.
Right.
So from there, how do you see yourself using this in the future?
I see myself, bookmarking the pages that I plan on stopping on first, while I'm getting used to the habit of only stopping in certain places, doing what you do, like really analyze the story for the important points, and I guess I would brainstorm ahead of time how I would make those connections so it would be meaningful to the students. I would probably choose connections that they would be able to relate to,
and it's not to say you can't go back another time and use it for a different reason.
Right.
Right. Breaking up little meaningful lessons, two of them, instead of trying to jam it all into one.
Right.
The sticky notes in there definitely helped me also to remember not to stop on a spot. Like there's no orange sticky note. You cannot stop here. You have to keep going.
Exactly. No matter how hard it is.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And since we do in the classroom typically read stories more than once, just to give them more practice and everything, and to build their comprehension of the story, I think that it is good to target on just specific areas one day and then go back the next day. Maybe like just go over it really fast, like before you dig into the story again,
Mm-hmm.
and then hit those other hot spots.
Yeah.
And so those are some things I'm going to pull in.
And that's what that article said too, about how the second day have them tell more of the story
right, and
beforehand.
And focus on another aspect,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's another character in the story,
yeah.
which I like that. I've done
know.
that.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
Like we talked about how the sloths were annoyed with, what was her name? Sparky.
Sparky. Yes.
We're annoyed with Sparky. The next time, taking on Sparky's perspective.
Right.
Like, how would she feel going into this school where everybody's acting different than her? You know.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I thought it was good though. I enjoyed you modeling it for me. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.